Today we're taking up again with test taking. How do we take tests and not be overwhelmed or anxious or freaked out in some way? And how do we make sure we do our best on them? Now, in this podcast, we're going to assume that you've done the actual study, you've done the prep, that you've done some of the things that we've talked about in various podcasts in terms of how to really learn best. Things like teach it to somebody else, whether it's in your imagination or you actually sit down with a friend and go, here, let me teach you this, let me go over it, because that really makes sure that we've got the understanding. It's not just that the material feels familiar, which is the biggest trap most people run into. They read through the material and they go, okay, I feel like I have it. But they haven't tested it. They haven't checked. They don't know for sure. They haven't tested themselves. So all those things can be really helpful. Now we're assuming that you've done all the appropriate and adequate prep. Then what? Now this part is all about our outlook, all about our viewpoint, all about our attitude. So we want to make sure that when we go into taking the test that our attitude is, I'm going to do well. This is easy. This might be even fun. I'm going to get to find out here just how much I've really learned. And regardless of how it comes out, I'm going to gain from it. And most likely it's going to come out really well. Most likely I'm going to ace this test. That's the attitude we want to build in. So how do we do that? So before we get into what to do, let's talk about what not to do. The most common thing that people do that gets in the way is they start thinking about other times where tests didn't go well. Well, there was that time that I took that test and I thought I was going to do well and I didn't. Or there was that other time where I took a test and I sort of froze up. I got anxious. Oh my God, I hope that doesn't happen again. And so on. And it's obvious to all of us what this does. And simply saying, well, don't do that, probably isn't enough, but it does bring awareness to it. What we really want to do is think about other kinds of things. The mind's always going to think about something. So if we're not going to think about the times that things didn't go well, what do we think about? Obviously, from what we're saying, we want to think about times where things did go well. If we can think of times where testing did go well, and it could be any kind of test. This doesn't have to be that particular subject that you had challenges with. It can be any area where you've been tested in any kind of way and it went well. And we want to come back to that again and again and go, well, yeah, I can do well. Here's my evidence. And we just insist that our mind goes back to those kinds of thoughts. Now, are there better ways to do that? Are there more powerful ways to do that? Let's explore. So to make this a little more specific, let's think about any time you did something and you did well at it. It doesn't have to be a test. Something that you hopefully enjoyed doing, that you were confident about, and that it went well. Now, this could be a sport. This could be getting together with friends. This could be redoing your room. This could be anything that you did well, you knew you were going to do well, you felt great about, you were confident in, and it came out well. So whatever that is, just take a moment and think about that and the feelings that go with that experience. Now, there's an image that goes with that. If you did well at some sporting event, there is that image of whatever it was. You ran the race well. So there are two ways to do this. One is to step into it and get that feeling. We're going to come back to that. The other is to think about it like you're watching yourself do really well. And you get that feeling, that excitement of, I'm really doing that. I'm really doing very well at that. Now, as you're looking at that image and getting that feeling, we want you right in the middle of that image to make like an opening. And on the other side of that, it's like a lens that opens up right in the middle of that success story. And through that lens, you see the upcoming test and all the feelings that go with doing really well at this success spill over right into that test. And we can do that again and again and again with the same image, with different experiences, any times that you had that great feeling, and particularly where you were successful. Now, there are going to be people that say, well, what if I was never successful at anything? Well, when you were a little kid, did you get up and learn to walk? Do you speak your language well? Did you have great interactions with somebody? Again, it doesn't have to be school oriented. All of us have had success somewhere. Sometimes we don't count those, and that's its own kind of problem. Our brain tends to look at what didn't go well and put a little more attention on those things. We want to kind of stack up all those things where it did go well. And we want to look at that image and open that lens and let all that good feeling pour into the test taking or whatever else you want to put there. And each time you do that, that association, that connection to that feeling is going to get stronger and stronger with the test taking. Easily done. You've got this. Now we want to do it in a different way so you have options. What if you step into whatever it was where you were successful, where you were confident, where you really enjoyed the feeling of whatever it was, and as you step into that, you bring that test right to you and pour that feeling into the test, into you out there that's going to take the test. If you think, oh, it's going to be tomorrow or it's going to be next week, take that feeling and just pour it right into that you and that process of taking the test. So every time you step in and get that feeling, you link it to the test taking. A little different approach. Now let's do it another way. Let's imagine somebody who is really good at taking tests. They love taking tests. It always goes well for them. They always get their A. They're excited about doing it so that they can get that A. And imagine stepping into them and you're looking through their eyes at what that experience is like for them. And let yourself get familiar with that. Oh, this is how to think about it. When I think about a test, everything brightens up. Everything gets clear. Everything gets this glow around it, this great feeling around it, whatever it is that they do. Now, that may not come immediately at first, but every time we do it, our brain is going to get more familiar with that. That's what we think of as stealing somebody else's capacity. Now, when we're doing that, of course, they're not losing it. We're just gaining it. And it is a way to redirect the brain. It's a way to say to the brain, let's not do it that old negative way. Let's try it this way. Let's have this outlook. Let's look forward to it in this kind of way. So it's using what we imagine somebody else is going to experience as a way to engage our brain in that kind of process. And our brain learns from that, and it learns pretty quickly. And it won't be long, and you can do this yourself. Now, there's one other thing we want to suggest, and that is looking at it from after having taken the test, as though you've just gotten the test back, you've gotten a great grade, you have a great feeling, and with that feeling, you look back on the test with that view of, oh, that wasn't so bad. That went pretty easily. I can do this. So stepping into the positive outcome in the future, and from there, having that experience, look back on the test and bring that feeling to it. So try these out. We think you'll find that this makes a big difference in your outlook and your results in taking a test from here on.